AITA for exposing my mom after she gave my house to my sister while I slept in my car? My name is Liam. I am 22 years old, and I have always been the type of person who prefers to stay in a corner rather than make a scene. I am not one to talk too much or raise my voice to defend my belongings. I have always felt that keeping calm is better than getting into fights, and that is why I usually give in just to avoid arguments. That way of being, which I saw as a calm and normal trait, ended up becoming the perfect weapon for my own family to walk all over me. I have an older sister, Jessica, who is 28. From a young age, I knew she was the favorite, the star of my parents, Michael and Susan, who are now 52 and 50. Everything revolved around her, what she needed, what she wanted, her problems, her whims. In my house, it seemed like there was only one rule: Jessica comes first. She got married young at 22 to Kevin, a guy I could never connect with. In fact, he always gave me a bad feeling. Neither of them had a steady job. He did whatever came his way, picking up gig work and odd jobs. And she simply did not work. Her excuse was that she had to take care of their kids, Lily, who is 5, and Max, who is 3. And how did they live? Easy. My maternal grandfather, Arthur, sent them money every month, and sometimes I also chipped in the little I could. My grandfather is 74. He has been a widower for a decade, and although he is retired, he was a successful businessman. He lives about a 3-hour drive from where we are. He is a straightforward man, tough when he needs to be, and with an absolute intolerance for mediocrity. But even so, he was always affectionate with me. To him, I was the only one who seemed to have my feet on the ground. I never sought him out or tried to win his favor. He simply saw something in me that he didn't see in the others: responsibility and humility. At that time, I was working as an administrative assistant at a small company. I earned about $2,000 a month. Nothing extraordinary, but enough to pay my expenses and help out at home when I could. And while I was juggling bills to save a few dollars, my parents insisted over and over again for my grandfather to send more money to Jessica. She has 2 children, they would say. Kevin is looking for a job, but it is difficult. So he sent $2,500 monthly for my sister and her family, which was more than I made working full-time. But of course, it was never enough. There was always a new emergency. Something urgent always came up. And so we reached my 22nd birthday about 3 months ago. I was not expecting much. I have never been one for big celebrations. But that day, my grandfather called me. "My boy, I am heading over there," he told me with an excitement I rarely heard from him. "I have a surprise for you." And he delivered. He drove the 3 hours to our house, where 7 of us lived crammed into a small 2-bedroom apartment. My parents, my sister, Kevin, the kids, and me. Chaos was part of our daily life. When he arrived, he walked in with a giant smile and a large manila envelope in his hands. "Happy birthday, Liam," he said while giving me one of those hugs that squeeze your soul. "Come on, everyone sit down." We settled down in the living room as best we could, and he handed me the envelope. "Open it." My hands were shaking. Inside, I found some keys and a stack of documents. I looked at him without understanding, and he, thrilled, told me, "It is a house. A beautiful house in the Pine Ridge Estates neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, furnished, modern, and ready to live in. It is in your name." I felt the world stop. I could barely stammer that I could not accept it, but my grandfather took my hands and said in a firm voice, "Of course you can. You deserve it. You have always been respectful and hardworking. You never ask for anything, and yet you do so much. This is my gift because I see everything you do. And I am proud of you." I started to cry. I hugged him as if he were the only person in the world who truly saw me. It was the best gift anyone had ever given me in my life. But when I looked around, I saw my family's faces. My parents had a strange expression, almost uncomfortable. Jessica looked annoyed, almost offended. Kevin was frowning. I tried to ignore it because I did not want anything to ruin that moment. The next day, my grandfather took me to see the house. It was gorgeous. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a modern kitchen with new appliances, a spacious living room, an elegant dining room, and a small, lovingly cared-for backyard. Everything was perfectly furnished. "It is yours," he kept repeating as he hugged me before leaving. "Take care of it and enjoy it. You earned it." I returned to the apartment feeling on cloud 9. For the first time, I had a space of my own, something mine, a future that looked a little bit brighter. But all of that fell apart as soon as I opened the apartment door. They were all sitting in the living room as if they were waiting for me for a trial. My mother spoke first. "Liam, we need to talk." I was still smiling. "Sure, what is wrong?" "It is about the house," my father said seriously. "We have been thinking, and we believe that house is too big for you." I felt my smile fade. "What? You live alone. You do not have a partner or children," my mother added. "What do you want 3 bedrooms for?" I tried to explain that maybe later on I would need them, but my father interrupted me. "Your sister actually needs them. She has 2 kids. Lily and Max need more space. They are very cramped here." Then Jessica spoke up with that voice she uses when she wants to sound like the victim. "It is not fair that you get a whole house just for yourself while my children are suffering in such a small place." I could only repeat that Grandpa had gifted it to me, that it was in my name. But my mother replied with a tone that left no room for argument. "We are family, and in a family, we share." I tried to remind them that I had always helped them with money when I could, but my father cut me off again. "This is different. This is a home, a place where your niece and nephew could grow up happy. Don't you want them to be happy?" And so began weeks of constant pressure. Every day was an ordeal. They made constant comments reminding me how selfish I was for keeping such a big house, saying that Jessica deserved it more because she had a family, and that I, being young and single, did not really need that space. "Think of the children," my mother repeated every morning. "Do not be selfish," my father reminded me every night. And Jessica, with tears that seemed perfectly calculated, would say, "You are my brother. Don't you care about us?" I am shy. I hate conflicts, and these arguments were endless, exhausting, and overwhelming. Every comment weighed on me like a slab on my shoulders. After 3 weeks of constant pressure, I finally caved. "All right," I said with a broken voice, as if my heart were being ripped out. "Jessica can have the house." The celebrations did not take long to begin. Jessica hugged me, and for the first time in years, I felt like she was genuinely congratulating me. My parents patted me on the back, telling me I had done the right thing. Even Kevin smiled at me. That same week, they all moved into the house my grandfather had given me. Jessica, Kevin, the kids, and my parents. "You can stay in the apartment," my mother told me naturally. "The lease is paid up for the month. Will you be comfortable?" That night, alone in the empty apartment, I felt completely hollow. I had a roof over my head. Yes, but my heart ached. 2 days later, I came back from work, and my key would not work. I tried again. Nothing. The lock had been changed. I knocked on the door. No one answered. I called my mother. She did not pick up. My father's phone went straight to voicemail. Jessica had blocked me. Finally, a neighbor told me he had seen the landlord that morning. I called the landlord. "Michael and Susan let me know they no longer needed the apartment," he told me. "They terminated the lease, and I have already rented it to someone else." I stood on the sidewalk with my work backpack hanging off my shoulder, staring at the closed door of the apartment where I had lived my whole life. I had nowhere to go. I had no money for a hotel or a new security deposit. My savings were minimal. The only thing I had was my old car, a 15-year-old sedan that miraculously still ran. That night, I slept in it, parked in front of the house my grandfather had gifted me. I reclined the seat, covered myself with my jacket, and tried to close my eyes. It was the longest night of my life. The next morning, without even a decent shower, I tried to freshen up as best I could in a gas station public restroom before going to work. No one at the office knew what was going on. It was too shameful, too humiliating. And so weeks passed, then months. I spent 5 months living in my car, enduring back pain, freezing nights, quick showers in public restrooms, and cheap meals to stretch every dollar. For 5 months, I watched the lights turn on in my house every night while I slept in a reclined seat, unable to go inside. One Saturday morning at 6, a knock on the window startled me. My heart raced. The window was fogged up from my breath. I wiped the glass a little and gasped. My grandfather was standing right there in front of me with a look of utter disbelief. I clumsily opened the door. My face was swollen, my hair was messy, and my clothes were wrinkled. My grandfather looked me up and down, taking in the blankets in the back seat, the makeshift pillow, the clothes hanging on the windows, and the fast food bags scattered on the floor. His expression went from confusion to horror. "My boy, what are you doing?" Why are you sleeping in your car? His voice trembled. I could not answer. Tears started falling. And the house I gave you, his voice cracked. Didn't you like it? At that moment, the front door of the house swung open. My mother came out, still in her robe, with a panicked face. Dad, what a surprise. We did not know you were coming. My grandfather ignored her. He kept looking at me, waiting for an explanation. Grandpa, I tried to start, but my voice broke. What happened to the house? He asked louder, looking between the house and me. My mother approached nervously. Dad, let me explain. Explain, he said in a voice so low it was dangerous. Explain to me why my grandson is sleeping in his car in front of the house I gave him. My mother swallowed hard. Well, we took it from him and gave it to Jessica. The silence was absolute. My grandfather stood motionless, his face going through disbelief, shock, and finally, pure fury. What? He whispered. Jessica has a family. My mother babbled hurriedly. She has a husband and kids. She deserves it more. Liam is young, and he is alone. What does he need a big house for? He hasn't accomplished anything and hasn't even started a family. Jessica was the one who needed it. My grandfather said nothing. He took out his phone, dialed a number, and spoke. Officer, good morning. I need a patrol car at this address. There are squatters in a property that is in my grandson's name. Please come quickly. You can't do this, my mother screamed. They live here. The children live here. They should not be in a stolen house, my grandfather roared, louder than ever. He walked toward the front door, pushing past my mother who tried to stop him. Everybody out, he shouted as he walked in. The yelling started inside. Jessica was shrieking, Kevin was stammering excuses, and my father was trying to calm the chaos. The kids were crying in fear. This house belongs to Liam, my grandfather yelled. I paid for it. I gave it to him. No one has the right to take it from him. Jessica came out crying. Grandpa, please, my kids need this house. Your kids need parents who work, my grandfather shouted back. Not a stolen house. Dad, can we fix this? My father tried with a conciliatory tone. My grandfather turned to him, his eyes blazing with fury. Fix it. Leaving your son to sleep on the street is a misunderstanding. Jessica, trying to defend herself, said, he gave us the house. Did you pressure him? My grandfather asked firmly. Did you manipulate him? You took advantage of his kindness, he stated, though no one needed to clarify it. Their faces said it all. 10 minutes later, 2 police cruisers arrived. My grandfather showed them the original property deed, clearly in my name. The officers reviewed the documents, spoke with my family, and finally ordered, folks, you have to vacate the property. You have 1 hour to grab your essential belongings. We can't, my mother sobbed. We have nowhere to go. That is not our problem, the officer replied firmly. 1 hour. Start packing. The next hour was pure chaos. Jessica cried while haphazardly throwing clothes into suitcases. Kevin muttered curses. My parents begged my grandfather to reconsider, but he stood firm by my side with his arm around my shoulders. This should have been yours from the beginning, he whispered to me. And it will be now. Exactly 1 hour later, my whole family was on the sidewalk with suitcases and bags piled up. Jessica was hysterical. My parents looked defeated. Dad, my mother begged one last time. At least don't take away the monthly support. The children need to eat. My grandfather looked at her with an expression I had never seen. Absolute disappointment. From today on, he said coldly and firmly, you will not receive another cent. The monthly money, the loans, everything was over. But the kids? Jessica cried. The kids are their parents' responsibility, he replied without hesitation. You two, Jessica and Kevin, get jobs. Work just like my grandson has worked his whole life. Humble yourselves just as you humiliated him. Dad, please, my father chimed in pleadingly. My grandfather looked at him with disgust. And you too. He pointed at my parents. You are a disgrace. Favoring one child so much that you destroy the other. Allowing them to steal your own son's house and leave him on the street. You don't deserve to be called parents. We are your family. My mother tried desperately. Liam is my family, my grandfather said, hugging me tighter. You are simply toxic people who share my blood, and I never want to see you again. Ever. Do not come near this house. Do not come near Liam. It is over. He left them there on the sidewalk with their shame and their belongings. We went inside the house. My house, finally mine. For real. I am sorry, I said through tears to my grandfather. I was weak. I should have stood up for myself. You were not weak, he replied with tears in his eyes. You were too kind. They took advantage of your kindness, but that is over. This house is yours now, and I will make sure no one ever takes it from you again. The following weeks were full of adjustments and rediscoveries. I truly moved into the house. I slept in a real bed after 5 months. I showered in a real bathroom. I ate in a fully equipped kitchen. Everything felt surreal. My family tried to contact me nonstop. Calls, messages, emails. Liam, please, the kids are hungry. Liam, we can't pay rent. Liam, your sister is suffering. 3 weeks after being evicted, my mother sent me a long message. Liam, we made a terrible mistake, but we are your family. You can't leave us like this. Please help us. For the first time, I replied firmly. Not this time. For years I helped you. I gave you money, understanding, and patience. But when I had something truly mine, you took it without remorse and left me on the street. Now, look for a job just like I always did. Goodbye. And I blocked all their numbers. A week later, my grandfather visited me to make sure I was okay. We were having coffee in the living room, and he asked me, "How do you feel?" Free, I answered honestly. For the first time in my life, I feel free. He smiled with tears in his eyes. That is what I wanted to hear, my boy. Today, 2 months later, I live peacefully in my house. I have decorated every room to my liking, and I have invited friends over. I have started to enjoy having a space all to myself. I miss my family sometimes, but then I remember the 5 months I spent sleeping in my car while they lived comfortably in my house, and I stopped missing them. I learned an invaluable lesson. Limitless kindness is not always a virtue. Sometimes it is a weakness that others will exploit. And I will never be weak again. I am free, I am in my house, with my life, and I finally value myself. Comment. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. True kindness is a beautiful trait, but it should always be paired with firm boundaries to protect your well-being. Learning to say no is never an act of selfishness, but a necessary step in recognizing your own worth. Sometimes, those closest to us take advantage of our patience, which makes it vital to stand up for our dignity. Choosing your peace over endless conflict is a brave decision that opens the door to genuine healing. We all need to remember that every person is responsible for their own life and their own choices. I hope you always treat yourself with the same compassion and respect that you so freely give to others. Please take a moment to reflect on your own healthy boundaries and share your experiences with our community in the comments. I truly appreciate your support, and I wish you a peaceful and beautiful day ahead. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.